Pastor David gave you a hint already. I'll be continuing the story. I'll be sharing with you the genealogy from Noah to Abraham. So the story continues, and then from the genealogy we see how the covenant goes down from generation to generations. And we know because sin, flood came, destroyed the world, started over again with Noah. But what's really sad, even though God started with Noah again, but like Pastor Sam was saying, that sin, that ideology from Cain goes down to Ham. And then not only Ham, but later on we'll see that even in this line, it got infected. And it was really sad. And then, but from here you could also see God's grace, His love, and He still is doing that work of redemption. He still recover His people, and we can see it through this genealogy. So this genealogy is in Genesis chapter 11, Genesis 11, 10 to 26. So the genealogy of Shem, right? This genealogy in 11 is slightly different from Genesis 5 genealogy. The format is slightly different. In Genesis chapter 5, everything is given to you. When the father has son, how long the father lived, and after that, and his total lifespan. But in Genesis 11 genealogy, you kind of have to do some calculation. You have to do a bit of work. Okay, so let's do that right now. So we have the name, right? So I'm going to start with Noah. Shem. Shem. Shelah. And I'm going to add Abraham. Okay. And then in Genesis 11, let's read Genesis 11. Let's go to Genesis 11. Let's read from verse 10. We don't have to read the whole thing. Let's from 10 to verse 15. Okay? Genesis 11, 10 to 15. It says here, these are the records of the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and he became the father of Arpachshad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived 500 years after he became the father of Arpachshad, and he had other sons and daughters. Arpachshad lived 35 years and became the father of Shelah. And Arpachshad lived 3 years after he became the father of Shelah, and he had other sons and daughters. Okay. And so on and so on. Okay. So next line I'll put Begod. Begod is when they had a son, right? When each father had a son. Right there it says when Shem was 100 years old, 2 years after the flood, he had Arpachshad. Right? And then from there he lived 500 more years, right? And Arpachshad, when he was 35, he had Shelah. And he lived, it says there, 403 more years. So sorry you can hear it, but I just put lifespan here. Total lifespan. This is after, meaning after they had got a son, how much longer they lived. And then total lifespan, okay? It says Shelah, he was 30 years old, and then also and then he lived after he had Eber, he also lived 403 years. And then Eber was 34 when he had Peleg, and he lived 209 years after that. Ru, 32 years. And then he lived 207 years after that. Serug, 30 years. And then after he had Nahor, he lived 230 years. Nahor, 29. After that, he lived 119 years. And then it ends with in verse 26. It says he lived, when he was 70, he had Abraham. So again, this is what's given in Genesis 11. It's slightly different from Genesis 5, because 5, even this part is given, right? Remember? In Genesis 5, verse 3 to 8, for example, we have Adam, Seth, Enoch. See, he was given already. He says he was 130 when he had Seth, he lived 800 years, and then he lived 930 years. So all that is already given. Same thing with here. Right? 912. So now, we can find out the same thing. All we have to do is just add the numbers. Okay, so how long they lived? So he had Abraham when he was 100, and he lived 100 years from that. So we know his lifespan is 600 years old, right? And then let's add all of this also. So here, his lifespan is 438 years. His lifespan is 133 years. 464 forever. 239. 239. And then 200 years. 230. 148. With this one, with Terah in verse 32 of Genesis 11, it'll tell you that he lived 205. Okay? So all that is given. What about Noah? There's the reason why I want to put Noah here. How do you know? How do you find out when he begot Shem? And the clue again is in Genesis chapter 11, verse 10. It says here, Shem had Arphaxad 2 years, and 102 years after the flood. So 2 years after the flood, he was 100 years old. So how old was he when the flood came? 98, right? 98, yeah. And then how old was Noah when the flood came? You know, it's 600 years old. So Noah had Shem when he was 502, right? And in Genesis chapter 9, verse 29, we know he lived up to 950 years. Okay? It says he lived, he's 600 years old, the flood came, and he lived another 350 years. Again, so 950. This is in Genesis chapter 9, verse 28, Genesis chapter 9, verse 29. Okay? So now it's all numbers. What's so important about these numbers? It's very important because just like Pastor David, from these numbers you could really see God's history. There's a reason why God gave us all these years. And again, for us to be able to see what's going on, what happened in their time. The first thing that we notice right away is the shortened lifespan, right? The lifespan got shorter and shorter. Okay? And then we know the Bible is the Word of God. So even the numbers is the Word of God. So even though the numbers, we cannot skip it. We cannot skip the numbers. A lot of people skip the genealogies and skip the numbers. No, we cannot. We have to really look into it and consider it, right? Just like Pastor said, we have to consider it. We have to look at it and study it, see what we can find from here. So again, you can see the shortened lifespan. Okay. So 2 places I want to talk about. Here, I'm going to draw a line here. Because these 2 were people that were born before the flood, right? He was born, right? He was 98. These people were born before the flood, and everybody else was born after the flood. when you look at that, these two numbers right here, there's a shorter lifespan here. This is a father and son relationship. But there's almost 200 years of short lifespan here. He lived 500 years after the flood. Noah lived 350 years after the flood. And then the second place we're going to focus on today is here. These two numbers. And remember, the father lived 464 years, but the son, his own son lived only 239 years. Something happens, and we want to know what's going on here. Why? What happened in these two generations? So, right now, when you look at numbers, you say, short, it's like no big deal. But when you look at Rev.Dr.Yaohan Elnitiarta, we need an illustration. You can see it. But when you chart it, when you use the chart, then you can see, wait a minute, it's not so simple as 464. Actually, it's really, really scary. When you look at this, you can see Abraham lived really long. And he outlived his descendants. Right? He even outlived all the way to Abraham. Later on, we're going to do the work, we're going to do the math. He outlived them, alright? And then so when you look at it this way, this is actually really scary. What's going on here? And that's what we're going to try to cover today. Okay. So why? Let's talk about this first. Why? What happened here? What can we speculate? What's going on here? And we know again, these two people, they're born before the flood. These are after the flood. So we can assume there's probably something going on here because of the flood. Something changed. The world changed. Remember, the flood is not just in some regions, it's a worldwide flood. Catastrophic flood, right? It covers the entire world. Okay? And because it entires the world, but later on we'll see from Bible verses, a lot of things changes. The world topography changed, the climate changed, even the length of days changed because of this flood. Let's turn to Psalm chapter 104, verses 6 to 8. How much time do I have? Until what time? Sorry, how much? I know, until what time? Psalms 104, verse 6 to 8. So that chart is the first time ever illustrated, and the doctor. Psalms 104, verses 6 through 8. First time illustrated by Dr. Abraham-Rev. Psalms 104, verse 6 through 8. It says, "You cover it with the deep as with a garment. The water was standing above the mountains. At your rebuke they fled. At the sound of your thunder they hurried away. The mountains rose and the valleys sank down to the place where you established for them." So the water reached all the way to higher than the mountain, right? It covers everything to the higher mountain. When you see that, so it's a worldwide. And it says mountain rose and valley sank down. But before this, the earth was favorable for man. We can think about the Garden of Eden. We can think about the lifespan of Adam's 10 generations. When you average out their lifespans, okay, and of course you don't include Enoch because he was transfigured 365, then you would kind of mess up the calculations. But if you average up the lifespans, the average lifespan of that is 912 years. Very, very long life. So back then, before the flood, we can assume that the world was the climate, everything was favorable for men. Remember in Genesis chapter 1, verse 7, God separated the waters, right? The expanse above, the water expanse above, and the water expanse below, right? Below the expanse. God separated. And then when this separation, that water above, it can work like a canopy, right? It helps block the sun rays, it blocks all the bad UV rays, and then it's like an umbrella. It really protects the environment. It's nice and cool, and because of that, it was favorable for men. The climate's not too hot, not too cold. Remember the Israelites when they were journeying into Canaan, from Egypt to Canaan in the wilderness? What did God help, provide for them? The pillar of fire and the pillar of clouds, right? At nighttime is not too cold. They could actually see even at night. At daytime, if without the pillar of clouds, no way they could have survived that journey. It's scorching hot in the desert, right? So God provided that pillar of clouds for them so that they can enter into the land of Canaan. Right? In Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 19 to 21, Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 19 to 21, it says right there, the pillar of clouds did not leave them by day, and the pillar of fire did not leave them by night, all the way until they entered into the land of Canaan. For 40 years, God provided for them, and it says their clothes did not wear out, their feet, was not swollen. Right? God made that, even though it's in the desert, God made everything climate favorable for them. The clothes did not wear out. Why do clothes cannot wear out? Why do clothes wear out? Because it's so favorable, they don't need to sweat. When we sweat, the more we sweat, the more our clothes are easily gone, right? Stain or whatever we don't do. But the clothes do not even wear out here. Can you imagine in 40 years that we could wear the same clothes for 40 years? Right? That's what the Bible says, right? The clothes do not wear out. Okay? So it was really, God really provided that grace for them so that they can journey all the way to Canaan. And then what happened? We know what happened. This is the flood, remember? In Genesis chapter 7, verse 11, when the flood came, it says what happened. It says the heaven's gates open up, and the floodgate from the bottom come up, right? The fountain of the deep burst, and so usually when we think about the flood, we only think about rain, and the flood world. No, actually, from both sides, from top to bottom, right? From the deep burst in the top, it broke, and then it come together and flooded the entire world. So water from above, water from below, it came together and it covered everything. Okay? So that means that water they used to protect man, makes the climate favorable. I think it came down. So that it's not favorable anymore for man. It cannot protect from the sun anymore. And then we can see that in Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. Genesis 8:22, it says, after the flood, it says, heat and cold, summer and winter shall not cease. And here, the heat, the cold, the heat is talking about the very cold and very hot weather. It's more like the extreme weather. And why? Because of the weight of the water. And then, because remember the mountain rise and the valley drop, there's a movement on the earth. It caused more land on the northern hemisphere, and it tilted the world, right? It tilted the earth. So because the world tilted, we have more extreme weather. More hot, more cold. Remember the March 2011, the earthquake and tsunami in Japan? Right? That's just in one small region, right? In that region. But it affected a lot of things. So when that happened, it says the Earth axis tilted, and it showed the days by a microsecond. Not only that, the main island of Honshu, it says it shifted by 2.4 meters eastward. And there's a northern coastline, the northern coastline of Japan, actually dropped by 0.6 meters. Just from the earthquake and tsunami. Can you imagine the world? When the mountain rise and the valley drop and the whole thing, can you imagine it really shook up everything, right? So because of that, we can see as the world tilted and everything gets changed, everything's different, it gets shorter, and then it's not perfectly straight anymore. So you don't have that nice, perfect temperature, when it gets close to the sun, it gets really hot. When it's away, the part where it's away, it gets really cold. Even now, we know there's a lot of extreme temperatures in this world. In California, there's a place called Death Valley. And right there, it can go up to 56 degrees Celsius. Normal day, 56 degrees Celsius. And then, there's a place in Russia that can go minus 71 degrees Celsius. And we have a lot of extreme weather in this world, because the world tilted now the Earth tilted about 23.44 degrees, right? It tilted again when it gets closer to the sun, it gets hot. Away from the sun, it gets cold. Okay. Why? And then this the extreme weather, we know it's not good for our body. I have an elder in Shanghai. One of my elder, actually a couple of deacons. They're also my elders and deacons. They're in biotech, and they do stem cells. They like stem cells, and they culture it. They study stem cells. And then what he told me is, you really have to store that stem cells very well. You cannot go beyond 0.3 degrees. Okay. If it goes beyond 0.3 degrees, plus or minus, that stem cells will grow weaker and it will age quicker. Okay. So to maintain that perfect stem cell so people can use it back to their body, you have to maintain it. You cannot go above 0.3, the change, 0.3 or minus 0.3 degrees. But we know, the world's not like that. It's, we all have cells right here. And the temperature, it varies. I grew up in Los Angeles, and there, in the morning, it's cold. Nighttime, in the morning you have to wear a jacket. The daytime you have to wear tank tops. It's so hot and dry. Varies up and down, right? And it's not favorable for man. And we know that the flood came because of sin. Okay. Because of sin, flood came, and everything changed. And it affects human lifespan. So again, this is something that we can speculate the flood, because this is people who were born after the flood. These people born before the flood. And again, the environment here is no longer perfect for human. At least it's not as perfect as before. Okay? At least not as perfect as good as before. So what about here? What happened here? Why? What happened? Again, from here you look at it, it's okay, it's no big deal, okay. But when you look at the chart, you see it's actually, it is a big deal. Okay. Let's do the calculations. Okay. Not that one, but I'll do similar to that one. Okay, so because later I'm going to use it for later. So let's look at Ever. He lived 464 years, right? That's his total lifetime, 464 years. Just similar to that. When he was, how old? When he was 34, he had Peleg. And then Peleg, when he was 30, he had Reu, when he was 32, he had Serug. Serug, when he was 30, he had Nahor. Nahor, when he was 29, he had Terah. Terah, when he was 70, he had Abraham. You should even go further when Abraham was 100. That means we just add this up. So when Eber was 34, he had Peleg. When Eber is 64, we just add this to, right? Who was born? Here, you got 96, when the average 96. Saruk was born. Okay, and then this is 126, right? Or this is 131. Is that no, that's correct? 151. 161, right? No, 151, 161, 151. Yeah. 30. Something's wrong. Yeah. Is it wrong? Here's wrong, right? What is it? 25, sorry, right? Yes. Okay. This is 225, and this is 325. Right? And Isaac, when he was 60, he had Jacob. So 355. So similar to that, but in this way, you can see it in this way. We can teach this in different ways, but I think this way you can see it clear, and you can see that all these people, when they were born, he was still alive, and who was still alive, right? And now you can add more to this by adding, when they died, so it would be similar to that. So actually, it is similar to that. Peleg, where is he? Peleg, he lived 209. Okay. So from here, you add 64. Here's 64 here. So 209 was 64. Right? 372. Oh, you have 273. So 273 right here. 273. That's what he got, right? Okay. Ruth, you get 96. And you add the lights all off. So 7. So 3 is also on here. That's when he died. And so you get 126 plus row the 200. You pass this line over here, 326. Okay, no more. So 155. And then 119 after that. And then so it's 274. 274. Okay, and clear out this 2, 5. Okay, but anyway, I just want you to see this, okay? So not only was Eber alive when all these people, even with Isaac and Jacob, but when Solomon, when they died, he was actually still alive, okay? So when you okay. So what happened? Why was the life shortened here? Okay. And we know again it has to be with sin. Okay? Because of sin, right? So what kind of sin? What happened here? Okay. We know it's sin because sin shortened lifespan. In Proverbs chapter 10, verse 27, Proverbs chapter 10, verse 27, it says, a man of bloodshed and deceit will not live half their lives. Okay. And then Proverbs chapter 10, that's in Psalms chapter 55, verse 23. And then in Proverbs chapter 10, verse 27 says, the fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the years of the wicked will be shortened. Okay. So you fear the Lord, your life, it prolongs life, but the wicked, their life will be shortened. Okay. So we know it has something to do with sin. What kind of sin? Remember, this is in Genesis 11, right? This genealogy is in Genesis 11, but it starts with verse 10. Before this, Genesis 11 actually talks about the Tower of Babel. Okay. After talking about the Tower of Babel, then God shows us the genealogy of Shem. And then when we calculate, we see actually their lifespan is shorter and shorter. So after talking about the Tower of Babel, and then we can see this. Okay. So what happened during the Tower of Babel? Pastor Sam talked a bit about it. They built that tower, right? They tried to make a tower as high as possible all the way to heaven. Okay. But in Genesis chapter 11, verse 24, they said it right here. They say, let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. Yeah, let's see.
Cool. Chapter 11, verse 4.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, Genesis 11, verse 4. Okay, so they wanted to build a tower, make a name for themselves, very, very tall. And they want to glorify themselves, right? Make a name for themselves. But remember, Isaiah chapter 43, verse 7 says, no, we live, God created us to glorify Him, not to make a name for ourselves. But here, instead of glorifying God's name, they want to make again a name for themselves, and they build this tower. They want to make themselves famous. So another reason, that doing this, again, they don't want to get scattered. Right? They don't want to get, it says that lest we get scattered. They don't want to get scattered. And then because they're probably afraid if the flood water comes again, and it will kill them and they will be scattered. And then here, not that they want to go reach as high as the mountain, as the heaven, because before the water goes up to the mountain, but no, they want to try to do it higher. So it will not kill them. Okay. But again, they don't want to get. What did God do? What did God do then? They don't want to get scattered, but what did God do? The opposite, right? God actually scattered them. Okay. God scattered them. God confused their language. In Genesis chapter 11, verse 7 to 9, it says God confused their language and scattered them abroad all over the face of this earth. And that's why the place is called Babel. Babel means confusion. God confused their language. For example, if someone want to build something and he asks for wood, but you come and give him water or straw, you get frustrated. No way you can finish the construction. You're frustrated, so forget this. I asked for wood, I keep on asking for wood, but you keep on giving me water. Forget it. And this is something I don't know if you can experience that here in Lanka, but for me in China, I experience it all the time. Because I grew up in the States, I speak very little Chinese. And I go there and the congregations, they want to talk to me. They want to ask me questions, they want to ask me to pray for them. And then I cannot really understand them. Sometimes I would need translator, can you wait? They're so urgent, they want to tell me already. I said, please wait. So I make sure I don't pray for the wrong thing. So I want to ask somebody to come over and translate, but sometimes they don't feel comfortable because it's so private. Right? They want to tell me something private, something to pray for private, or ask me something, and then because then they get frustrated. It's like, sometimes you can see it in their face, they want to say something, they want to ask something, but it's so hard, I feel so bad, and then again, you feel that, and then you get frustrated, and in the end, they give up. So these people here, same thing, when God confused their language, from one language, God split to many different languages, they got confused and they all scattered. Right? We know, we know that, okay? And then, so, in Genesis, chapter 10, verse 25, okay, let's go back. They all get scattered, they get confused. But how do we know is around this time? How do we know they were confused around this time, especially around the last time? So, because in Genesis chapter 10, verse 25, it says, during Peleg's time, the earth was divided. Okay. It was during his time that the earth was divided. So, we can see that the Tower of Babel and during the confusion and during the time it was during this time it was divided. But not only that, through the lifespan you'll see it's around here because the life was a sin. The lifespan was shortened because they tried to go against God. Right? God already said, "Hey, I will not judge you with water again." But here they cannot believe in the word of God and they do the opposite. But what's interesting about this, okay, is when this is happening, do you think Noah was still alive? Do you think Noah was still alive? Yeah, Noah was still alive. Okay. A lot of these people were still alive when all this Tower of Babel were being told. People, the godly men, they were alive. Do you think Noah would approve? Go for it. Build so the flood water will not come again. Do you think he will say that? No, right? He probably would tell the descendants, "Hey, stop it. God says he will not judge the world with flood again. What are you guys doing? Please do not sin again. You want to get judged? Please do not sin again." He probably will not support that word. And then, but not only him, but even people who are the godly here. Remember, during this time, the world was divided. We'll see later on. These people here, they probably don't want to be involved with the building of the Tower of Babel. Let me write you. This is the sea, Mediterranean Sea. Okay. This is Galilee. This is Canaan. So that time the Tower of Babel was around right? It was around Babylon is around this time, around here. Okay? But we'll see later on there's a separation. Some of them actually move north, move up, and go around this region. So the Babel around here, but later on they will journey up and be around here, Aleppo and around here. So the name, again, during his time, that time the world was divided, and his name means division or separation. Okay. The name means division, separation. So actually, not only was the world divided, there's probably a separation with the family. Okay. There's the family that says, "Oh, it's okay, we can handle it. Yeah, it's bad, we have to work about it, we can handle it, we'll just stay here." But there's family who say, "No, we don't want to have to do anything with sin. Right? We don't want to be sinful, let's get out of here." So from here, there's actually, we can tell, from his name, the separation, there's probably a separation here between, Eber and above, and Peleg and below. So the Chaldeans they will see is where Abraham and Terah is where they are at. They are people who stay, but the around there is Iraq right there. But Eber, who do not want to, Eber and probably the rest of them, they will try to move on. Let's see that. Okay, let's see that. One reason we could say that is because from the name Eber. Name Eber means to cross over. To cross over. And from the name, it hint that he crossed a river. Because from the Eber, we can get the name Hebrew. Okay. And Hebrew again means people who cross over the river, or people beyond the Euphrates. So from there, from the name, we can say that Eber is probably someone who crossed the river. Okay? Because why? He did not want to stay. He didn't want to stay with all the people. He didn't want to go away to maintain their faith. People, sometimes they get boastful. I think, oh, don't worry, I can maintain, I'm okay, my faith will be strong. But at the end, we don't see it's not that strong. Sometimes it's good to just get out and so that you can maintain your faith. So how do you know? Yes, one from the name, but again, secondly, is how do you know that Eber is probably someone who went up there? Because on the northern part of the Euphrates River, from the northern part, the top part of the Euphrates River, around Haran, around Aleppo, there's excavation. Archaeologists, they have an excavation ring in that region, and they discover a lot of those clay tablets. And when they decipher the tablets, they found that the people around here, they actually worship the God of heaven. Here are people who actually worship God. Okay. And after more research and economy, they estimated that those tablets is around 2,300 BC. Okay? And they tried to decipher the tablets, and they found that the kingdom that worship God, the name of the kingdom is Ebla. And not only that, they found out that there used to be a king, and the king's name was Eber. Okay. So they did discover that, and from this time, when they discovered, they said that this time, this kingdom probably existed around the time of the Tower Battle. Okay. So around the time of the battle, they found those clays that's around at that time, again around 2000 BC, and this kingdom that worship God. Okay. So this kingdom, not only that, they found out that it was a prosperous kingdom. Okay? Because God probably blessed that kingdom, and it became a prosperous kingdom. And then we can conjecture that these people, because of the lifespan, because their lifespan is longer than not only Eber, but of course Noah, he doesn't want, for sure he's the one who saw the sin before the flood. For sure he doesn't want to go participate in the Tower Battle. These people probably move away from around this sinful area where Babylon is, and they would go to around Haran, Aleppo, about that region. Okay? So why? Because if they stay there, and then it's not good, right? Sometimes in China, the way we try to evangelize sometimes is we try to tell them, hey, wherever God is, that nation will prosper. And then we talked about, before it was Europe, it was a prosperous continent, and then the U.S., and then we told them it's coming to Asia. And again, like this place right here, it's prosperous because we believe this God is there. These are the people who worship God, the God of heaven. And then China, and then people, when they hear that in China, they're really happy because they experience it. 50 years ago, China was so poor. Right? Nobody knows about China. Nobody really cares about China. I used to live in Hong Kong. Same people, right? They're both Chinese. Hong Kong, China, they're all Chinese. But
the people in Hong Kong look down on the mainland China so much. It's so sad. They come and they look down. They don't want to do their business. Get out, get out, get out. You know, just because they found out I was from mainland China. Guess what? Now, even the people in Hong Kong, they have to treat the Chinese so nice. The mainland. Before they don't care to speak Mandarin because in Hong Kong they speak Cantonese. In China they speak Mandarin. But now even people in Hong Kong, they kind of, before because it's by British, colonized by the British, they have to speak English. Now, Mandarin is more important because most of the customer comes from China. So they want to have the Chinese and we try to tell them, hey, China is so blessed. This may be a surprise to you. You know how many Christian Chinese are there in China? Can you guess? China, of course, the biggest population, the largest population in the world, right? It's big. But it would be shocking if I tell you the number.
1 billion.
20 million. 20 million? Okay. Officially, government-sanctioned churches, okay? This is the government said. There's 70 million Christians in China. This is what the government said. Okay? It's not including, right? It's not including the home churches, the underground churches. And it's estimated to be double that. So we're estimating, and this is something in 12, 13, 14, it's a survey, right? That there right now is about 140 million Christian in China. Can you imagine that? And that's just an estimate. Now it's probably, it's growing, right? And you can see that the connections, and then China is financially, and they're really prosper right now. I'm really curious, here in Sri Lanka, Christians here. How does churches here? The congregations, the young people, old people, kids, how are the Christians here? A lot of young people, enjoying,
A lot of families mean husband and wife.
and children.
Yeah.
That's really good. I used to serve in the States, and then it's really sad there, Christians. Of course, the post-fighting gospel is always big with a lot of shows and all about they don't really teach the word, but just a lot of good feelings and easiness being added. They're growing and becomes big issues. But the one who's very conservative and teaching the word of God, I went to one church, nice looking church, but when I went there, it was, I think there's only less than 30 people, 20 people, and they're mostly gray hair. They're senior citizens. I don't see the kids, I don't see the, children. And then, but in Asia, I came to Asia, it's slowly, I think it's great here. In China, my congregations, they're in the 30s and 40s. They're still very young children, and they're really part of the word. And then even the 20s, I feel the fire in them, and they're really excited for the word. And I think that's why it's amazing how God works. It's just really coming up, and the word is really starting to spread in Asia. I think it's growing really fast. So I pray may continue here in Sri Lanka. So we're going to continue. Sorry about my writing. I hope you won't take too much from here for your quiz tomorrow. I know. So when we were in Singapore, we did the pastor's workshop. Pastor there asked me, and I was doing this. I was doing a short lifespan. And I was doing, it could be, it was very possible with something with flood and here, Father Abel, and then the pastor said, but God already said, lifespan will be a short thing. She said in Genesis 6:3, let's go to Genesis 6:3. Genesis 6:3. then the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, because he also is flesh. Nevertheless, his days shall be 120 years. Genesis chapter 6 verse 3, right? The days of man will be 120 years. So the pastor is saying, see, God says it's going to be shortened anyway. It's not going to be over 120 years. And actually I was really happy for me to hear that. And because then I said, yeah, you're right. Because of sin, the pastor understood because sin, life shortened. I said, yeah, not immediately, because even after the flood, there are people who have 400 years, right? 400 years, not immediately, but we know that life is shorter. And another reason why I'm really happy for the pastor to talk about, sin, life is shorter. And use this verse for it, 2020, because a lot of pastors, a lot of theologians, a lot of people, they use this verse, Genesis chapter 6, verse 3, to say that, it says 120, to say that Noah built the ark. It took him 120 years to build the ark. So a lot of pastors use this verse saying that, again, it took him 120 years, but how? How do we know that? It's not really biblical, to say that. And Dr. Abraham-Rev, again, when he was younger, 50, 60 years ago in his ministry, and he was telling people, no. It's actually less than 100 years to construct the Noah's Ark. And then when he said this, because maybe he was young, people actually persecuted him for saying this. They rejected this, and because of this, okay, fine, and then he just, he did not share regarding this anymore. But this topic is actually written in Genesis Genealogy. It's the first book, right? That was written, the first book of the History Redemption series. And he tried to explain, no. It is less than 100 years. And now, I want to share that with you. And actually, from the History Redemption series that Genesis Genealogy, you say not only it's less than 100 years, but we can actually estimate that it probably took Noah somewhere between 70 to 80 years to construct Noah's Ark. Okay, how do we know this? Let's look at the Bible. Okay, let's see the Bible. What the Bible says about this. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 10, it says, at that time Noah became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Right? That's in verse 10. But then when we look at verse 14, then God instructed Noah to build the ark. So at that time, so Noah already had his sons, that's Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But actually, when we read the Bible even more, we'll find out not only were the three sons born, but they're actually even married already. They've grown up. They're grown up and they're married. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 6, verse 17 to 18. Genesis chapter 6, verse 17 to 18. So here God says, I'm bringing the flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh in which is the breath of life. From under heaven, everything that is on the earth shall perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall enter the ark, you and your sons, and your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Okay? So from this, so God showed this revelation to Noah, saying that I will destroy this world, I will destroy this earth with the flood. But not only were the three sons born, but again, they were already grown up and married. Okay? And then earlier, remember how old was Shem when the flood came? Earlier? So earlier in Genesis chapter 11, verse 10, when we calculate this, he was 102 years after the flood. Okay, so he was 98 because here the flood came at 600, he was born 502. So 600 minus 502, from here you can also see the age 98. So if Shem was born, right, was 98 when the flood came, so even this is already less than 100 years. You know what I mean? So even this is less, but this is just talking about Shem. But there's 3 other sons. So to say that it's less than 100 years, even with this, you could already say, yeah, it's true. Because not only were the sons born, but they grown up and they were married. I did something, but since it's already full here, let's look at the. Maybe this is clear. Okay, how long was the ark?
Do you want that one?
I think that the easier one. That's the 2. That's it. The fancy one? Okay, let's go with the fancy one. Okay. How long? Okay, that's nice. How long did it take? Okay. Noah was 600 years, and the flood came. Again, in 2 verses. Genesis chapter 7, verse 6 and 11 shows that he was 600 years old when the flood came. Okay, the 120 years, and this is what I was showing. People use this to say that it took 120 years to construct the ark. Get 3 sons already. Okay, and they all married. Okay, and this is to show 500. Okay. 602. Okay, so when Noah was 102, Shem was born. So right here is only less than 100. This is where the flood came, right? And he was born here, so right here is only less than 100 years. And then let's just say if the next son, Ham, Shem, they're 1 year apart. Okay, so the time gets shorter and shorter, right? To build the ark. Okay, let's say they're only 1 year apart. And then let's say the minimum age to get married at the time is 17. So that 15 plus here, let's start with 2. So Shem, it's possible if he really married at the minimum age, it's around 5 to 17. Again, the time gets shorter. But then not only him that got married, but the brothers also got married, right? Okay. So when you divide this, if you use all the minimums, it's here, 81 years maximum for him to build our. Because when God gave the instruction, they were already born, they were already married, and God gave the instruction, and immediately Noah started constructing the ark. So if right here they're all married and God gave instruction, and immediately, so it's maximum 81 years to construct the ark. So we average, we estimate it's around 70 to 80 years. Let's say if they're not 1 year consecutive, they're maybe 2 years apart, or we don't know when they got married. But at least the maximum is this. Okay? We don't know when they got married, how old they were apart. So the numbers get smaller and smaller. So again, we estimate it's about 70 to 80 years for Noah to construct the ark. So what is this then? What is God saying this, the 120? What does this actually mean, the 120 years? Okay. There's actually 2 interpretations in this from theologians. From this 120, they can get 2 interpretations, and then you can see that also in the first book of Genesis Genealogy. And then the first view is the 120 is the maximum age man can live because of sin. Okay. So God, so no more they can live that long, but they cannot pass this number. And then, yeah, okay, it's possible, not immediately, because we see that there are people who are getting, in the 400s and 200s, but nowadays you see it's getting smaller and smaller. I mean, if you look at Psalm chapter 90 verse 10, it says man's life is 70 to 80 years. 70 years and you have your strength 80 years. And so yeah, it's possible. The first view, it is possible. And the second view is that's the time of grace that God gave during that time. During those times that, God gave them the time of grace to really repent and, listen to the word of Noah. So maybe they could enter into the ark also. Because Noah was also a preacher. He was not only was he constructing, right? He has to farm. Why farm? Because there's animals there a year, right, in there that they have to feed and do all that work. But he's also someone who preached, who's telling you, hey, God told me there's going to be judgment. Listen. Yes, okay, there's no rain. Okay, fine, life will be life. But God said there will be judgment. Listen. Right? And then this is the time that, it's time of grace for that God gave them so that they can repent. But in any case, it's not how long it took Noah to construct the ark. Okay? Sometimes we really have to go back to the Bible. Sometimes people will even pastors say things, but then we have to go with the Word of God and teach the Word of God. Okay?
So let's go back here. There's more information here, okay?
That's all.
It's a lot of writing there, but we can extract more information from Genesis 11. So, remember, we're studying the history of redemption, right? And then God did not just let them be, and then they just continue to sin. Because remember, what was lost is in the Garden of Eden, it was God's sovereignty, land, and people. And God wanted to recover His sovereignty, land, and people. It was lost. And now, here again, people are getting more and more wicked. But then, what happened? But God still gave them a chance to come and repent. And God, He found Abraham. He found Abraham. He's someone who lived in the sinful world where people are worshiping idols. But then God called him and give him the word so that he can go and come to the land that God wants him to be. And when he's here, so that this place can become God's kingdom, right? Where God is the sovereignty, the land is Canaan, the people is Abraham, and later on his descendants. So it's a work of redemption, it's a work of recovery here. Yes, it's sad, it's getting worse, but you can see God's mercy and His love and His covenant, right? He promised, and then He worked for it, And then so God called Abraham. Let's turn to Joshua chapter 2, verse 3. Joshua chapter 2, verse 3. So God said, "Then I took your father Abraham from beyond the river and led him through all the land of Canaan and multiplied his descendants and gave him Isaac." So God took him from beyond the river and took him to the land of Canaan. Okay. So He took him from the land of idol worshiping. And then Terah must have heard that commandment. And actually what's really surprising, even though he was an idol worshiper, make idols, sell idols, but the Bible says he actually took lead in taking Abram, Sarah, Lot out of the Ur of Chaldeans, right? In Genesis chapter 11, verse 31. Genesis 11:31. There you can see that Terah actually took lead, right? He took Abram, Sarai, and Lot out of the Ur of Chaldeans, and then to the land. He took him to the land of Canaan, but they settled in Haran. Okay. Let's now turn to Acts chapter 7, verse 2 to 3. Acts chapter 7, verse 2 to 3. This is Deacon Stephen. He was speaking here. Deacon Stephen. He said, "The God of glory appeared to our father Abraham when he was still in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Haran." This is the first time that God called Abraham before he was in Haran, and God said to him, "Get out of your country, from your relatives, and go to the land I will show you." So get out of this country, get out from these relatives right here, and go to the land I will show you. So actually, not only do these people don't want to do anything, but later on God rescued Abraham to get out of there. So even Abraham went to Haran. But why Haran? It's probably the same the route that they took. They follow the route that has already been paved, the one that's already, the godly forefather already took. So he ended up going, he too, one day ended up at Haran, right? So, again, if he would have stayed there, he too might fall into sin. Even the father is getting worse and worse. So, but then again, God called him out. Okay? And he also crossed the Euphrates River, just like his forefathers, just like Eber. Why? Because remember, Abraham is known as a Hebrew. Hebrew is someone who crossed over the river or beyond the Euphrates. So from there, the people in Genesis 14, verse 13 acknowledge Abraham as a Hebrew. Okay. So again, so the key person here, when we look at this genealogy, is God again rescuing here, and through this, God gave the seed and then the nations, and God is working to recover, right? Recover what was lost. Okay. So another thing that's really amazing here that you can see from these numbers is Noah. You cannot see here, but Noah was still alive when Abraham was born, when he was alive. Can you imagine? He was still alive. When we talk about Noah and Abraham, it doesn't click to us. It doesn't click that, he's still alive, they actually lived in the same time, at the same time. Right? But again, that's why when we pull out the numbers, and when we do the calculations, you see, you know what? It's right. He was still alive. Noah was still alive when he was born. Okay. And not only was he alive, but he lived, after Abraham was born, he lived 58 more years. Noah lived 58 more years after Abraham was born. So again, this is only something that you can do when you see the numbers and when you calculate. And then, again, Dr. Abraham Park is the first time to reveal this, right? 56 years Adam lived contemporaneously with Lamech for 56 years. And there's a reason for this, right? So that he can pass his faith down to Noah. And then now Noah lived contemporaneously with Abraham for 58 years. Which is really, really amazing. Okay, again, it's God's grace. There's God's plan from this. And then again, let's figure it out. Let's do the math again. Okay, let's do the math. See where I have room. Let's do it up here. I'm going to erase this. I don't think I have to do it up here. Okay. So Noah. He lived until 9:30, right? He lived until 9:30.
So when he was 502, he had Shem. Let me just write the name down. Shem. Okay. It's a good thing I write the name down first. Okay. So when he was 502, he had Shem. And then you just add all this number, right? And when he was 602, he had Arpachshad. And then you add 35, you get 637. When Noah is 637, who's next? Shelah, yeah, was correct. And then Shelah had Eber is 30, so you get 30, so it's 26, 67. Eber was born, and you 34 right here. What's that? 701, right? Is it 701? Correct. And we had 30, 731. Ruth was born. We had here 760, what is it? 3. Is it? Okay. And then you add here 793. Okay. And you get 29. That's it here. 822. And Terah had Abraham at 70. So it's 892, right? So when Noah was 802 years, Abraham was born. So that means he was still alive. And then when you subtract this, you get 58 years. Not only was he alive, but he lived 58 more years. Again, see, if you do it, if you see the numbers and you chart it, it's amazing. It's not just reading the genealogy and then skipping over it, the numbers and all that. There's something about us we read there, right? But when we do this, then we can see it. Okay? So why? Why did God? There got to be a reason, right? Why did God allow Noah to live such a long life, such a longevity? There got to be a reason, and the reason is here, right? Here, he needs to pass down that faith. He needs to be the one, right? And then why? Because remember, Adam passed that faith down to Lamech. Lamech know about the curse and everything, and named the son Noah. Rest, hoping that through this guy Noah that the curse will be taken away, that they can rest. And then Noah, he's the one who heard all this from his dad. He's the one that heard the story about the sin with Adam in the Garden of Eden. He heard about the transfiguration of Enoch and Lamech, shared that thing. And not only that, he witnessed God's word fulfilled. Right? Because his grandfather, remember Methuselah, means when he dies, judgment. And he was able to really witness that. God says from this name, when he dies, judgment, and he was someone who really witnessed that, and he needs to pass that information, he needs to pass that faith, that covenant, down all the way to Abraham. Someone who was taken out from the sinful world to receive the word of God, to really believe and one day enter and possess this land. So, let's see where we're going. And then Noah again, he not only that, before the flood, he saw how wicked the people were. Every intent of their hearts were only to be evil, right? But God says, only Noah, he was blameless, he was righteous in his time. Let's turn that. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Then the Lord saw
that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So it's only evil continually. It's so bad. But then when you go down to verse 9, this is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God. He is someone who walked with God, who did not want to. Everyone else is doing all that, but he did not want to do that. And he's the one who walked with God. And again, he needs to be the one that, again, pass that. He needs to be able to pass that faith down. Okay? And then we know how faithful he is because in Genesis chapter 7, verse 22, when God told him to construct the ark, people probably laughed at him and he worked really hard. He said about 70, 80 years. But it says he did everything that God commanded him. So that kind of faith that did everything that God commanded has to be passed down. Okay. Likewise, and this is all really also showing us as well. We're those who are taken out from the land of idol worshiper. But we need to have that word. We need to have that faith that will obey completely the word of God. And not only we, here pastors, need to receive this, but we need to pass it down, right, to our children, to our congregations. They too need to be able to receive God's word and have that faith. We need to be able to pass down our faith to them. In Genesis chapter 18, verse 18 to 19, Genesis chapter 18, verse 18 to 19, it tells us the reason why God chose Abraham. And the reason is for him to teach the word of God to his children. Teach them about righteousness and justice, right? And God bless them. Why? So that he can teach his descendants' children. And again, I pray may we be those who can really pass down our faith and teach congregations, our children, and so that we too can be blessed like Abraham. Amen? So, again, so the key figure actually, when we look at Genesis 11, is Abraham. Because later on, when we continue, tomorrow, whatever, we see how God also made a covenant with Abraham, and then to fulfill his work of redemption. Okay? So he needs to recover the people, and the people have to recover. He needs to receive the word, and to that we need to recover the land as well. So now the big question: so what? Okay, they lived together for 58 years. Okay, good. But the question is, did they meet? Right? Did they meet? So what? I could have a relative somewhere I've never met before. We live together and then we meet. So what? Okay. So we have to find out, did they meet? And we can get some verses to see whether they meet or not. And assume whether they meet or not. Okay. And there are conditions that need to be met. First, for them to be able to meet, Noah needs to be alive. And the first condition is met. Okay. Yes, Noah was still alive when Abraham was born. So there's a chance now. Okay. And second condition is, where do they live? If they live, my great grandfather lived in, I'm in Sri Lanka and they live in Sri Lanka, and yeah, there's a very, very good chance for us to meet. But if I'm in the States and my grandparents here, it's a small chance, right? So where? Are they in the same region? But earlier we said, maybe not, right? Because he's someone who's righteous in God's eyes, is blameless in his generations. Why would he want to live in an area where people milk our level? Where people sin against God, right? When he becomes worse and worse and becomes an idol worshiper. He witnessed all that. He's probably against someone who talked to his descendants, hey, do not sin. Please remember, do not sin. So earlier we said that, we know that Terah and Abraham are still here because the Bible says God called them out before he went to Haran, right? And we say Noah left, right? So they're not in the same region. Okay? But then, again, there's a separation. But then God did call Abraham when he was beyond the river in Mesopotamia before he went to Haran. And God called Abraham. And he did go to Haran, right? That's what the Bible says. Because it says Terah took lead, took Abraham, Sarah, and Lot to the land of Canaan, but they dwell in Haran. Okay. And that is where it's this area here. It's very close to Aleppo, Ebla here, around Ebla is close to Aleppo here. It's around there. It's at least now it's the same region. So now it's even more possible that Abraham would have met his great-grandfather Noah. Okay. And then another, but there's another condition. Okay. And the other condition is he left Ur, right? But if he would have left here, let's say when Noah is whatever, let's say he's dead, but let's say 50 years after Noah he left, then they would not have met. So that means the other condition is he must leave Ur before he was 58. Okay. If he leave at 60, Noah's already dead. Right? There's no chance for them to meet. So it has to be before 58. Okay. So this is really amazing. The reason why I left this here, I want you to see something. Because one here, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. And he lived contemporaneously with Abraham for Noah. Abraham lived contemporaneously with Noah for 58 years. But something even more amazing. Remember, these two actually died early. Actually, Terah is still long, right? Okay. But these two, okay, they died early. Remember, Peleg and actually here, Nahor, right? These really short life. Okay. So he actually lived. Abraham lived contemporaneously with Peleg, this guy, for only 48 years. And then he lived with suddenly his grandfather. He only lived contemporaneously with grandfather for only 49 years. And this must have been a great shock for Abraham. Noah, again, he's righteous in God's eyes. He's actually super old, but he was able to live with his grandfather even longer than these two, even longer than his grandfather. So, again, it is believed that when, tradition has it, when Peleg died, it's when God scattered them. They stopped the construction of the tabernacle. Right? And then here, Abraham must have been really shocked. Why is the lifespan so short? I want you to see something, okay? Which is really kind of try to open your mind a bit and try to move to Genesis 5. Yeah, I don't know if you can, but let's picture Genesis 5. In Genesis 5, what's the average lifespan? I said it earlier. Sure, good answer. 912, right? The average lifespan, remember I was here. The average lifespan in Genesis 5 is 912 years. And then the flood came, right? And then, Abraham probably heard, our great-grandfather, Noah is still alive. He's really old. This is the flood right here. Okay? Above here, 912 years, right? The 10 generations, the average. But after the flood, in this line after the flood, who died first? We're saying Peleg, right? In this line, okay, Peleg died first. So in this line, there's no experience. They didn't experience he did not see the death, right? So if they don't see that, then it's very easily they can think that, the average is 912. Then maybe we have that longevity genes. My great-grandfather lived 100, 100, everybody lives 100. For sure I will live 100. But then I found out my grandfather lived only 20 years old. Wow, you'll be so shocked, right? Wait a minute, I
thought all the genes, everybody wanted, and then my grandfather is 20, and my dad is 19. What about me? What's happening? What's going on here? Why is life, getting shorter and shorter, right? So for here, the next person in this line, that died is Peleg. And then you kind of think, maybe it has something to do with Babel, maybe something to do with sin. Okay, this is bad. Maybe the godly ancestors, maybe they're right. They're still alive, maybe they're right. What's something even more shocking is, the year after this, the year after Peleg died, his grandfather died. Oh man, what's going on here? We stayed here, okay, maybe we messed up. We were worshiping, we were worse and worse worshiping idols. Slowly they're dying, what's going on here? Terah's dad, this is Terah's dad. Terah probably got shocked, right? He probably got scared. He could be next. What did he do? He took lead. He took Abraham, Sarah and Lot. He took them out. Okay, let's get out of here. Let's go to that path that the godly descendants went. Let's go. Let's get out of here. I don't want to die. And then they end up here in Haran. And it's right here. Then it's very likely that they, right? Because we assume that Noah, because of the kingdom Eber, the king Eber, the people who worship the God of heaven, right, live around here. They don't want to do anything with that. So now, yes, it's possible that they could have, and it's very possible if they need that Noah will pass that faith down to Abraham. But what's even more amazing is how these people were still alive. Not only that, but they all the godly forefathers, they would still be alive, and they can share, right? They can strengthen the faith of Abraham there. Okay. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. How much more time do we have?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I'm almost done. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. It says here, when Abraham was living in Haran, God, what happened is, when Abraham was living here, God called him out the second time. The first time, God called him out, leave your country, leave your relatives, right? But once he's here, what happened? Because they're delaying here, so God called him the second time. But this time, can someone read for me Genesis chapter 12, verse 1? Okay, I'll read.
Now the Lord said to Abraham, go forth from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you.
Yeah. Okay. So it says now, get out from your country, get out from your relatives and your father's house. Who are the relatives? After they moved out here. Right? Who are the relatives talking about? In your country, your relatives, and who are the relatives? It could be them, okay? Who move, who was around there, leave them because they're so comfortable here. Remember, this place is very prosperous. And then Terah was delayed. The name Terah means delay, right? Postpone, delay. It's comfortable here, the relatives is here. It's a prosperous country. Okay, he knew that God says go to Canaan, but he delayed here. So then God says, okay, get out. Second time, your country, your relatives, and your father's house. Get out, go to the land that I want you to be. And then what happened? He was there, and we can assume that he received the word from the godly ancestors. Noah, Eber was there, the faith, the God of Noah, Shem, Abraham, the faith was passed down to him, and he was actually even able to leave his father, Terah, right? He was able to leave his father, Terah, and go to the land that God wanted him to go to, Canaan. And then in Genesis chapter 12, verse 7, it says, when he was 75 years old, he departed from Haran and he went to Canaan. Okay. Genesis chapter 12, verse 4. He left when he was 75. So here, God, he left, God was, he came back, God was so happy, God said, okay, this land, I'll give it to your descendants. So he was able to get out from the land of worshiper, he was able to receive the word of God, and he was able to enter where God wanted him to be. So, and then God promised that all this will belong to the descendants. And then again, this is all part of the history of redemption. This is part of the work of recovery. And God is showing us this. And not only that, remember Pastor Sam started with Deuteronomy 37. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of generation. Moses, before he was here in the land of Moab. And then before the Israelites from Egypt, they went to the wilderness, and then they wanted to enter Canaan, the second generation Israelites. And Moses again told them, remember the days of old. Consider the years of generations. Remember, you guys are getting into the land where God promised your forefather. That land, God says, I will give this to Abraham's descendants. That's the land that you're going into. Remember the days of old. Remember the years of generation, because Moses cannot enter into the Canaan with them. So you want to remember, hey, when you possess this land, you remember, you better keep this land. You better make God your sovereignty. This is your land. Protect this land. You are the people. Right? So he reminded them, he gave them that final message. You got to remember this, and you have to consider, and you have to serve this. But more importantly, again, this is not just talking about the Israelites, it's talking about all of us, right? Because the Bible says those who are of Christ are Abraham's descendants. So we believe in Christ, we are of Christ, and this is the land that we want to get into is the kingdom of heaven. This is something that God, you have to remember, and it's something that God promised us, and we have to take it. Galatians chapter 3, verse 29 says, if we belong to Christ, then we are Abraham's descendants, heir according to the promise. And then, please believe again, that's our journey, and may not just be our journey. We have to take, our congregations, our children, and we have to pass on their faith, so that they can be God's people, and then we all can enter into the land that God has given us. Okay? Remember, and then not only that, he probably telling them, remember days of old. Remember, hey, you cannot be half-hearted. You cannot be half-half. You believe all the way. Don't be half-hearted. And then you think, okay, I can be half-hearted. I can come to church. Okay, I'm doing, okay, that's fine. But slowly, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And then at the end, you might forsake God. You might even worship other gods. Sometimes remember that story? No, you have to hold on, right? You have to hold on to the word of God. Don't be like Terah. Don't be comfortable. A lot of people are like that comfortable. Not only in congregations, even pastors get comfortable. I'm sorry, even pastors get, we get comfortable, and then we forget what our mission is. Instead of going here and meeting people here, sometimes we lack prosperity. The goal is change. Or whatever it is, whatever could be money, whatever could be change, but no delay. Again, remember the days where we're going to strive and we cannot have to continue to receive the God. You know, sometimes maybe big church and you know, oh, we're already so big, already so nice, and we have congregation money coming in. Okay, we don't need to learn all this stuff. It's too much. But no, we have to continue to strive. God says we take back the words with you and return to me. Take the words with you and return to me. We have to take God's word with us and return to Him. Nothing we can take to heaven, only the word of God. And then at the end, you know, again, even among the Christians, even here, we know in the Bible, in Matthew chapter 25, even among the Christians, there will be divisions there. Even here in the family, there will be divisions. One on the right, one on the left. God takes the one on the right, throw the one on the left. The Bible says, you know, He will take the wicked from the righteous. How can you take the wicked? You're all righteous. How can you take out the wicked? So I mean, there's something here, the wicked from the righteous, right? So we have to be careful, especially for us. You know, that's why I'm always scared, you know, being a pastor. I mean, not only, you know, I have to work, you know, I have strong faith, but the burden of the congregations. You know, I love them and I want to pass the faith to them, and so that they can continue on. And then again in Matthew chapter 25, now the splitting, verse 32 to 34, it says here, to those to the right, you know, the king says, "Oh, wait, come to the kingdom, blessed kingdom, the kingdom that has been prepared for you since the foundation." God has prepared everything for us the foundation. All we have to do is again obey, and we know that that kingdom again is heaven that we want to go to, right? So I pray. Again, may all of us and pastors here, you know, continue to receive the word of God. You know, hold on and teach the word of God. You know, and then you know, help the congregation to understand God and be close to Him, and one day we can become His kingdom. And I pray, you know, in Sri Lanka, I pray again, like I talked about the example with China. I really pray, you know, I hope that this nation will become a Christian nation. And then, you know, when that happens, please believe you'll be so blessed. You know, this nation will be so great and so blessed. And then, and I know it's possible. Please believe I know it's possible. Why? Because I used to be Buddhist. You know, my whole family, we're so, you know, we temple everything. But if it's possible for us, then it's possible for everyone. We used to be so strong in that, but now my whole family, we serve God. You know, we're missionaries, we're pastors, we do God's work, and you know, it's possible in my life, it's possible